So this girl that I went to church with, she lived in a haunted house, and I used to be kind of fascinated with that stuff. I'm not now. Like, I don't watch those paranormal shows and stuff. Some of them are all right, but most of them are just bullshit. It's just like, what was that? Oh, I don't know. Somebody was in that dark area and threw a pebble. That's what it was. But some of the stuff they show is wild, and then you're like, well, is it doctor? Did somebody, that's an effect? Who knows? Do I believe that stuff's out there? Yeah. I think there's some weird shit floating around. There's got to be. There's got to be some spirits stuck in these places. There's too much weird stuff that happens that you hear people talk about. Dude, this city is haunted.
This is my mom's realm.
Dude, you go to Ybor City. Ooh. Dude, Tampa Theater. I'll tell you right now. I spent 2 nights in that thing, and it's haunted. 100%. I freaking felt so uncomfortable in those old corridors. Back there by myself. You never felt alone. You felt like there were 30 people on top of you.
What's that place in Terra Verde? That pink building?
Oh.
Don Cesar.
Don Cesar. They say there's some crazy shit in there. And what was the other place they said was really haunted?
In Bel Air?
Yeah.
Biltmore? Bellevue, Biltmore?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom's all about this shit.
She loves that stuff?
You gotta talk to her about it, yeah.
Well, I know your mom's into that stuff, and I know your mom's a lot like me as far as, like, the way she picks up on vibes and, like, empath and all that stuff. She's awesome. But, like, I'm not a nerd with ghosts or anything, but I just remember this girl I went to church with. She was a little bit older than me, and we got to talking about it. She said, yeah, she goes, my house is haunted. She goes, weird stuff happens. She goes, the ghost isn't mean. I go, well, is it one or do you? She goes, I don't know. She's like, but listen to this shit. She said they had a big jar of pennies, like just a big mason jar, those great big oversized mason jars full of pennies, up on a desk in the attic, which was her room. She had the attic room, which is a big thing out where I'm from. That's what you shoot for. You want to get an attic room, It's got the ceiling where you got to duck to get into bed, that kind of shit.
Ain't nothing comfortable.
Yeah, when you're little, you're like, this is the shit. And then as you're 18, you set up real quick in bed and hit your head.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? I'm outgrowing my little nook. But anyway, she said they were all down in the living room one night, and boom, there's a thud. They go upstairs. The freaking jar sitting in the center of the room. It was moved from the desk to the center of the room. They were the only people in the house. Now, if that's me now, like as a kid, I heard that. I was like, oh, my God. If that's me now, I'm checking crawl spaces, okay? I'm going in with a friggin' stun gun and some sort of, I don't know, hypodermic needle with some sort of I'm going to put your ass to sleep because somebody's crawling around in my house. Now, if I don't find that, then I'm leaving because that doesn't make sense. That's crazy. But she said that would happen. What else did she say? Oh, it would turn the dryer on and off. It would turn the washer on and off. Shit like that. It would stop the microwave. Wild stuff. Like, never anything vicious, never anything mean, but just playful. But the one that stuck with me, and I think this is why I still can't put a toe out from under the bed. I swear to you. She said, Scotty, and I remember when she said this, how serious she looked. She just said, I was in the bathtub one night. And she goes, I was soaking in a bubble bath. She goes, and I had my hand hanging over the edge of the tub, just relaxing, like, and something grabbed her finger and squeezed.
What the fuck?
And she said exactly what she said. And she said she come up out of that bathtub like you wouldn't believe. Like she walked on water. She went from laying down to like feet on the ground like that. And she goes, I looked at my finger and she goes, it wasn't like something just grabbed a hold of it. Like it grabbed it like, you know how when you squeeze your finger like that and you hold it really tight and then you let go of it and it's white and then the blood has to run back into it? She said that's what it looked like.
Maybe you had a crush on her.
Huh?
Maybe you had a crush on her.
Maybe. But now, see, that is when I'm leaving the property. I'm not sticking around. That's just stupid. You grab me, and there ain't nobody else in that house, and I get grabbed by the house. I'm leaving the house.
Get the crap out of the house.
You know what I'm saying? I'm leaving the house.
What if it follows you?
And he's... So anyway, but yeah, the ghost thing. I don't know. I know I had a neighbor who actually, my neighbor growing up, my mom's best friend growing up, when I was a kid, Brenda, she just passed away last year, or earlier this year. Wait, no, I'm sorry. It's almost, gosh, it's amazing how time flies.
Yeah.
It's almost been 2 years. It might have been almost 2 years this month. And, man. Anyway, she was my mom's best friend. She was awesome. But right across the street from us, her and her daughter, Shelly, and my sister's best friend growing up, Misty. And, my sister passed away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Misty was her best friend. So, like, I've known these people my whole life, like, since I was just, can remember. Brenda told me when I was an adult, like, later on, I always went over and visited her because it was like anytime I go home to visit, I lost my mom when I was 18. Well, just getting ready to be I was a senior in high school when I lost my mom. So, Brenda was kind of like the closest, like, connection to mom. So anytime I was home, dude, anytime, I made it a point to walk across the street at least a couple times and just sit over there and drink coffee and watch freaking stories or whatever with Brenda. And she was awesome. And we catch up and cackle, and she would just tell me how proud my mom would have been and all this stuff. It was just great, But she told me one night, she's like, something we were just talking, and I know what it was. There was one of those it was one of those there was a scary movie or something advertised. I remember that. And I go, "Oh, it's creepy." She goes, "Psst, I got my own creep show in this place." And I said, "Excuse me?" I've never heard Brenda say anything like that before. What do you mean? And she goes, "Well, Scotty, you know this place is haunted, right?" I set my coffee down. I was like, "What?" She goes, "We were in the basement." All of a sudden, when she started talking about this, basement got cold. Like, noticeably changed.
That's what a lot of people say.
Noticeably. It was fucking weird. And I remember because it was winter. It was at Christmas time. I was home, but there was a fire in the basement, in the fireplace. It was toasty as hell. She starts talking about this. Temperature drops noticeably in a room that was just toasty. And I was like, that's fucking weird. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And she goes, "Oh yeah." She goes, "You notice that?" She's like, "Not dangerous." She's like, "But I have a little pioneer girl that lives here in the basement." And I said, "Dude, you got to understand. This is a woman that is, I know this woman. And when she said a little pioneer girl, I'm all in. I'm like, you mean with a bonnet and stuff like that?" She's like, "Yes. Like Little House on the Prairie. You remember that old ass show from way back? Laura Ingalls and little ponytail or pigtails and shit." And she said occasionally, she goes, "And ask the girls. They've all seen her." So all the girls they all knew they were living in a ghost house. Nobody ever said this shit. Because you don't say this stuff on your street where I grew up. I mean, everybody in the neighborhood think you're batshit,
Right.
They live in a creepy house,
Uh-huh.
What are they doing over there, But those girls are like, "Oh yeah," they're like, "We'll come down to be getting ready for school," and they say, "We'll go down." That's where the laundry room was. They'll be down there, flip on the, how it is. You flip the stair lights on, you go down.
Yeah.
You flip on the living room light, or you flip on the washing room light. You don't flip on the living room light. She's like, "Everything's dark back there." She's like, "So you're in there, and you know that you've seen this thing before, but you forget." She's like getting a shirt ready for school, and you turn, and all of a sudden, from behind the corner of a wall, you see a little face go, and then pop back in. And I was like, "What?"
Fuck that.
That's when I was like, "You're shitting me." And these are people I know, like 100%. And Misty, my sister's best friend, her older sister, and her mother all were sitting there, and they all went like this. "Yep, that's exactly," like she does that. She giggles. We're like, "What the?" I couldn't believe it. And I asked my dad, I'm like, "Why didn't you ever tell me that Brenda's house was haunted?" He's like, "Well, she said there's some," my dad, Mr. Dismissive, "she said there's some, I don't know, little girl or something from back in, Western times." Or, my dad. I mean, you can just tell he's like, "Yeah, this is a bunch of bullshit." That's what that translates to,
Right.
in my dad speak. Anytime he gets in that tone, it's like, I'm tuning out. You're full of shit. And she swore until the day she died that was true. And they swore up and down that, and they say, matter of fact, last time I saw Shelly, I said, "You still got that little girl living in your basement?" And she laughed. She goes, "Is she still there?" And there's still people in that house. Brenda's, I think, passed away 2 years ago. I don't know if Shelly moved in there or not.
I wonder if she's hanging out with her.
I don't know. I'll tell you what. Next time I go home, I'll make it a point to talk to her to see.
Yeah.
I'll hit her up on Facebook. She'll tell me.
Some levels to that shit.
Oh, dude, I'm telling you. You know.
I think the podcast is fucking sick. If you're listening to it and you're like, I don't know if I want to listen to the next episode of this podcast, you're probably a bitch ass. You need to listen to the next episode of this podcast and keep listening to it. Because my friends down here are trying to make shit happen. And we're going to make some shit happen.